About the young people, I'd like to take this opportunity to ask all of the students that are in the room to please stand up so that we can also give you all a round of applause. The next question. This question is in reference to school closures. As candidates, as mayor, would you work to close low-performing schools or make concerted efforts to fix them? And we will start with Councilman Sharif.
I think as leaders, we should do everything possible to keep every single school that deserves to be open, open. But there are instances based on the low performance of a school or the increased facility costs that we have to make a tough decision. So as mayor, I will work very closely and directly with the superintendent of schools and other important stakeholders to make sure that if a school had to be closed, that was the last possible thing to do. But I think that's a situation-by-situation analysis that you would have to make. I wouldn't make a blanket statement to say that no matter what the circumstances, I would keep a school open. And I want to be honest with you here to say it. I'm not up here to pander to you to get votes, but my natural inclination is not to close a school, but to look at all the evidence in front of me, and based on what I look at, if that drives the decision to close a school as a last resort, I would do it. But my inclination would be to find additional resources to keep the schools open so that we can provide our students with the education in that open school.
So I'm glad to have this question. At the last debate we had, all of the candidates agreed that closing the schools would be the last resort. Unfortunately, everybody has not stayed true to that. Shavar was the president of the school board when he sat over 12 dozen of schools being closed. He said that Martin Luther King Jr. should be closed, or it would be like genocide. I don't think the building is the problem. I think what happens in the building is the problem. So this whole fight between charter and public is kind of a non-fight. But once you take the money out of it, to rile parents up and make them believe we're enemies because you're in a charter and you're in a traditional school is absolutely ludicrous. The building itself is not what's creating the results. It's what's going on in the building. So if you could close a local school and then put resources in another school and watch that school succeed while this school fails and say, let's close this school, then why couldn't we put the same resources, the same support, and the same help in a school that exists? Ultimately, I believe school choice is to be able to go to good school in your neighborhood. And what's the interesting thing is the schools that are being forced to close are in the South, in the West, more mostly. And that's because the concentration of poverty and unemployment that came with the destruction of housing projects in the Central Ward moved to the South and the West Ward, which not only talks about the schools, but also talks about the crime that is always being reported over and over again. People got killed in New York, people got killed in the South and the West. And 2006 was the highest crime rate in the city, not now. So the question becomes, what was the state government or Attorney General's office doing about the crime in 2006? Crime in 2006 in this city and crime in the schools. But I wouldn't close any school without making all of the efforts. I wouldn't close any school, period. I don't believe in closing schools, and I don't believe in closing the hospitals. So those are both the same thing.
Before Mr. Jeffries answers, I just want to remind everyone to please hold your applause so that we can hear the candidates. We cannot hear them if you're applauding while they're speaking, and we understand that this room is filled with people who support people. Please hold your applause so that we can hear what they have to say and so that these students can leave with the information that they came here to get. Mr. Jeffries.
Thank you very much. And I'll be very clear about my record and my vision, because it is very clear. I believe closure should be a last result for performance-based reasons. There may be some time for consolidation reasons schools need to be closed. If you have a school that's only 25 to 30% filled, you have another school near that school that may be 25 to 30% filled, you may need to do something like that to consolidate resources so we're not spending money on a half-empty building to heat an empty floor, to pay for utilities for an empty floor. I'd rather spend that money for babies, not for an empty floor. So maybe you consolidate sometime. Now, in terms of, I think what you do with struggling schools are some of the things I supported as the school board president and as a member. The Renew School model and the Global Village model. These are models where we have extended learning time for young people, social services for young people, adult ed for their parents, which not only helps them retrain themselves for the jobs in our economy, but also help them with their children's homework, and also additional technological resources so we can provide more differentiated learning for young people. I support this not only in the Global Village, but also in the Renew School, where we put millions and millions of dollars in some of the struggling schools. The genocide quote was not that closing the school is genocide. The quote was that when you only have 10% of black and brown children reading on grade level at a school, and it's been that way for 8, 9, 10, 12 years. When we talked about the school to prison pipeline, they build prisons based upon the extent to which children read on grade level at 4th grade. And it's been like that for 10, 15 years. By any means necessary, we have to educate these babies. And we can't look the other way when we've been failing for decade after decade. I support parent choice because everybody has choice except poor people. Middle-class people move out of the north to the suburbs looking for better schools. If you stay here and got money, you put your kid in private schools. Most of the politicians don't have to steer their kids in these neighborhood schools. They come in your face talking about the neighborhood school. Why do they put their babies? They never do it. No one comes down to the same life as everybody else from all this.